He actually smiled at the camera. Right there. Live television. Millions watching. And then he said the words that destroyed his entire family's legacy. Old man. You're about to watch what happens when someone thinks they're untouchable. When daddy's money and power have saved them so many times, they forget that cameras don't have a price tag. This is real. This happened. And what you're about to hear will make you believe in justice again. January 25th. Providence, Rhode Island. 9:47 in the morning. The courtroom is packed. Not unusual. But this isn't your average court hearing. This is Judge Frank Caprio's court, televised, broadcast live into over 127,000 homes across the state. People watch it like a morning show, coffee in hand, toast on the table, justice served before 10 a.m. Today's defendant, Maxwell Drummond, 24 years old, designer clothes, expensive watch. That look on his face like he's already won. Oh, and one more thing. His father is the lieutenant governor of Rhode Island. You can probably guess where this is going, but I promise you, you cannot predict what actually happens. Max stands at the defense table. His lawyer, some guy in a suit that costs more than most people's cars, stands next to him. In the gallery, his father sits stone-faced, trying to look concerned, trying to look like a man who cares about justice. The judge enters. Frank Caprio, 84 years old, 4 decades on the bench, white hair, kind eyes, the type of guy who'd give you a second chance if you showed him respect. Max looks at him and sees an obstacle, just another old guy who doesn't understand how the game works. That was his first mistake. The charges are read: assault, sexual harassment, resisting arrest. Max leans forward. And this is where it gets unreal. He looks directly into the broadcast camera, that little red light glowing in the corner, and he winks. Then he turns to the judge. Look, old man, let's just cut the act. We both know how this works. Complete silence. Not a breath. Not a movement. My dad's the lieutenant governor. You give me a slap on the wrist. I walk out. Everyone pretends justice was served. He actually says that, on camera, to a judge, during an official criminal hearing. Then, and I'm not making this up, he looks back at the camera and says, "Smile, Your Honor. You're on TV. Comment justice. If you're already rooting for this kid to get what's coming. You know what most people would do in that moment? Lose it. Yell. Throw the book at him right there." Judge Caprio doesn't move. He takes off his glasses, slow, methodical, sets them down on the bench. He looks at the camera, the same camera Max just winked at. Then back to Max. "Mr. Drummond, you wanted the cameras to see this. Let's make sure they see all of it." That sentence? That's when Max should have realized he made a catastrophic error, because what happened next got 40 million views in 48 hours. The judge doesn't rush. He doesn't need to. Let's start with what brought you here today. The clerk reads the charges. But Caprio doesn't just let it hang there. He explains every detail. For the cameras, for Rhode Island, January 18th, Harborview Grill, downtown Providence. Max Drummond is drunk, not buzzed, not tipsy. Blood alcohol level 0.21, nearly 3 times the legal limit. He's grabbing the bartender, a 23-year-old woman named Amanda, touching her. She's trying to move away. He won't stop. A server sees this. Her name is Lucia Fernandez, 28 years old, single mom, 2 kids. Been working at this restaurant for 6 years. She walks over. "Sir, please don't touch the staff. If you need something, I can help you." Max turns to her, looks her up and down, and says, "Mind your business. I'm dealing with the help." The help. He called her the help. Lucia says she'll have to call the manager if he doesn't stop. That's when he hits her. Not once. 4, 5 times. She falls. He keeps going. Only stops when another server physically tackles him off her. Judge Caprio reads all of this. Clinical, clear. The facts speak for themselves. Lucia Fernandez suffered a broken nose, fractured cheekbone, black eye, bruised ribs. She was out of work for 3 weeks, lost $2,100 in wages and tips. He pauses. She has 2 children, 7 and 4 years old. Single mother. Max tries to interrupt. Your Honor, that's a very one-sided... I'm not finished, Mr. Drummond. The judge reaches for a remote. Let's show Rhode Island what happened when the police arrived. Body camera footage rolls. On the courtroom screen. On TV screens across the state. Max, clearly drunk, being restrained by officers outside the restaurant. His voice comes through the speakers. Do you know who my father is? Lieutenant Governor Drummond. You're done, all of you. My dad will have your badges by Monday. Officer's voice. Sir, you're under arrest for assault. Please calm down, Max. Arrest? I didn't assault anyone, I disciplined the help. That's different. I disciplined the help, on camera, in front of millions. The footage ends. The courtroom is dead silent. But here's where it gets worse for Max, because Judge Caprio did his homework. He picks up a thick folder, colored tabs, documents, records. Mr. Drummond, I've done some research on you. Would you like to share your history with Rhode Island, or should I? Max's face goes pale. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me help you remember. University of Rhode Island. Max gets a failing grade. Vandalizes his professor's car. $12,000 in damage. Gets expelled. Except he doesn't really get expelled. He gets quietly transferred to Boston College. The professor whose car he destroyed suddenly gets a $50,000 research grant the next semester. No charges filed. Newport nightclub. Max assaults a bouncer. 3 witnesses ready to testify. Then all 3 recant their statements. Case dropped. DUI. Max hits a parked car while drunk. Owner of the car gets a cash payment. Charges reduced to a traffic violation. A female intern at the State House accuses Max of sexual harassment, inappropriate touching, unwanted advances. She files a complaint. She gets transferred out of state, gets a $75,000 settlement, signs an NDA, 5 incidents, 6 years, 0 consequences, until today. Judge Caprio looks at the camera. For everyone watching at home, this is what privilege looks like. This is what happens when someone has enough money and political connections to make problems disappear. He turns back to Max. 5 victims who never got justice. Until today. Hit subscribe if you believe the truth always finds a way out. But Judge Caprio isn't done. Miss Lucia Fernandez, are you present? A woman stands from the gallery, small, quiet strength in her posture. The bruises on her face have faded, but you can still see them under the courtroom lights. She walks forward. Please tell Rhode Island what happened that night. Lucia takes a breath. When she speaks, her voice is steady but soft. I've worked at Harbor View for 6 years. That night, I saw him grabbing Amanda. She's our bartender. She's 23. He kept touching her. She kept trying to move away. I went over. I said, Sir, please don't touch the staff. He told me to mind my business, called me the help. I told him I'd need to call the manager if he continued. Her voice wavers, then strengthens. That's when he hit me. I remember being on the ground. I could taste blood. He was still hitting me. And all I could think was, I can't get hurt. Diego and Sophia need me. My kids need me. Another server pulled him off. If he hadn't, I don't know what would have happened. The judge's voice is gentle. How has this affected your life? I was out of work for 3 weeks. That's $2,000 I didn't have. For rent, for food, for my kids. I had to borrow money from my sister, ask my church for groceries. When I picked up my daughter from daycare, my face was so swollen she didn't recognize me. She screamed. She's 4 years old, and she screamed because she didn't know who I was. Lucia looks at the camera, looks at everyone watching. Sophia asked me why Mommy's face was purple. How do you explain to a 4-year-old that someone beat you because you asked them to stop hurting someone else? She's not crying. She's past that. I'm not the help. I'm a mother. I'm a worker. I'm a human being with a name and a family and a life. And he beat me because I asked him to stop hurting someone else. Judge Caprio removes his glasses, looks at Maxwell Drummond. Mr. Drummond, you walked into my courtroom this morning and called me old man. You winked at the camera like this was entertainment, like your father's title would protect you. Let me tell you what happens now. Max's face changes. The smirk is gone. First, I am revoking your bail. What? You can't? I can. You've shown contempt for this court, contempt for the victim, and contempt for the entire justice system. You're a flight risk. Your family has a history of making legal problems disappear. He gestures to the bailiff. Officer, prepare to take the defendant into custody. Max spins around. Dad! Dad, do something! His father starts to stand. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. Judge Caprio's voice cuts through the room. Sit down, Lieutenant Governor. Your title means nothing in this courtroom. Silence. And speaking of your title, this court is formally recommending an ethics investigation into your office's involvement in your son's prior incidents. 5 incidents. 5 times charges disappeared. 5 times your office or your connections were involved. Rhode Island deserves to know if their lieutenant governor has been obstructing justice. The lieutenant governor sits, face white as paper. Judge Caprio continues. Second, I'm adding a charge of contempt of court. Your behavior today, calling me old man, winking at cameras, is contempt for everyone who believes in justice. Third, this case is being referred to Superior Court for felony prosecution. The charges carry serious prison time, Mr. Drummond. Real time, not house arrest, prison. Fourth, restitution of $85,000 to Miss Fernandez. Medical bills, lost wages, pain and suffering, compensation for the trauma you caused her and her family. 10 seconds of silence. 12, 15. In that silence, a dynasty crumbles. Max's voice comes out as a whisper. Please, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I was just showing off. I didn't mean disrespect, I'm sorry. 30 seconds ago, you were winking at cameras and calling me old man. Now you're apologizing. That's not remorse, Mr. Drummond. That's realizing your father can't save you this time. He nods to the bailiff. Take him into custody. The handcuffs click. The cameras capture everything, every angle, every expression, the shock, the fear. The moment someone realizes money failed them. Max is led past his father, past his lawyer, past Lucia Fernandez, past the cameras that broadcast everything to 127,000 homes. And soon, 40 million more. Comment karma if this moment gave you chills. But the story doesn't end there. While the hearing was happening, while Lucia was testifying, a teacher named Sarah Chen in Warwick was watching. She created a GoFundMe. Support Lucia Fernandez, single mom and hero. By the time Max was in handcuffs, $50,000 raised. By noon, $150,000. By the end of the day, $340,000. 47,192 people donated. Strangers, people who saw the truth and wanted to help. When Lucia found out, she broke down crying. I don't understand. Why would strangers do this? The reporter smiled. Because they saw you. They saw what you did. They saw what he did. And they wanted to help. That's what people do when they see the truth. Lucia paid her medical bills, set up college funds for her kids, put a down payment on a house, the first home she ever owned. And she donated $25,000 to a fund for other service workers who faced violence on the job. 6 months later, Superior Court. Max stood trial. His lawyer tried to negotiate. The prosecutor wasn't interested, not with 40 million people having watched the original hearing. 3 days, 9 witnesses, security footage, body camera footage, And in the background of everything, that clip, Max winking, calling the judge old man. The jury took 90 minutes, guilty, all charges. 2 years in state prison, $85,000 restitution, 500 hours community service, lifetime ban from Lucia's workplace. His first week inside? His cellmate was a former Marine, used to be a restaurant server before his own mistakes. When Max complained about the prison food, the guy looked at him. "You beat a server for doing her job. Eat your food and shut up." Max ate his food. Lieutenant Governor Drummond didn't fare much better. The ethics investigation Judge Caprio recommended became very real. They found everything. 6 years of calls to prosecutors, pressure on witnesses, payments to victims. 6 weeks after Max's hearing, Richard Drummond resigned. "In order to focus on family matters during this difficult time, I am resigning as Lieutenant Governor. Effective immediately." No press conference, no questions. Just a box of personal items and cameras following him to his car. The Drummond political dynasty, 3 generations, dating back to 1958, ended with the click of handcuffs on live television. Amanda, the bartender Max harassed, enrolled in culinary school. Lucia stood up for me when I was scared. She took a beating meant for me. I'm going to make something of myself because of her courage. Kevin, the server who tackled Max, started a nonprofit, the Service Workers Safety Alliance. We take care of each other in this industry. That's what Lucia showed me. We look out for each other. We don't look away. 3 months later, Rhode Island passed Lucia's Law. Enhanced penalties for assaults on service workers. Mandatory reporting for settlements involving public officials' families. Funding for legal assistance. Passed unanimously. The cameras made it impossible to vote any other way. Lucia moved into her new house on a Saturday in April. Diego and Sophia each got their own room. First time in their lives. Sophia painted a picture in art class. "The courtroom where Mommy won. It's on the refrigerator. Still there." Judge Frank Caprio kept 2 photos on his desk, side by side in one frame. First photo, Maxwell Drummond winking at the camera, smirking, calling him old man. Second photo, Maxwell Drummond in handcuffs. 30 seconds later. All arrogance stripped away. Beneath the frame, in Caprio's handwriting, "The cameras don't lie. Neither does justice." He looks at it every morning before taking the bench. A reminder that some moments define everything. That live television can be the greatest equalizer. That truth, when broadcast to millions, becomes impossible to bury. And that sometimes, just sometimes, people get exactly what they deserve.